Hi, welcome on the board, guys. I hope you are doing very amazing. Let's get started in previous lecture with the new content and the late lecture. There were the few topics were remaining, so I think this is the right time to complete those topics as well in the previous one. So let's get started. I think you guys are ready. So we were on the last topic. That was the formation of that was the formation of rocks. So there was the process where we did a study about that igneous rock, then sedimentary, then metamorphic, and this process was in a circle. So that we did study in the last lecture. So today we're gonna cover the new content. There is type of rock. So there are the three type of rocks we have. We'll keep this lecture same as the previous one. We'll use both the language at the same time, Hindi or English. So you guys make comfortable more. Okay, so let's get started. There are the three type of rocks that we have. Then the first one is this one. Oh my God, this is the too much. Okay. There are the three type of rocks that we have. The first one is igneous, then second one is a sediment, and the third one is a metamorphic. So what is the thing that we need to know about these things? So we need we need to know about this rock. So first, the igneous rock is the oldest rock of the earth. That's why we called it the primary rock and mother rock also. Oldest rock of the earth is the igneous rock. That's why we called it a primary rock, and that's the reason the first time it's made up of. The other rock is made up of by the certain process and modification of in this rock. That's why it's called the mother rock. This igneous rock is the hardest one. This is the hardest one among the all rocks, and made up of what is the process of made up of igneous rock? The sedimentation and cooling and sedimentation is the process of formation of igneous rock. So I hope it's clear to made up after the solidification of molten magma. What is the cooling and sedimentation and cooling of what that material? The material was the molten magma. So the things we learn is the another or nickname of igneous rock is that oldest rock of the earth, primary rock and mother rock and the hardest rock. So I hope it's clear to you. Let's move to the second one. That is a sedimentary rock. What is the nickname and other name of the sedimentary rock? Then the other name is that the secondary rock is that the same rock is we called it sedimentary rock. Another name is first is secondary rock and water rock. Why we call because of that the sediment is made up of after in weathering and igneous rock that is carried out by the water. And the new rock is formed that is known as sedimentary rock. That's why it's called the sedimentary or water rock or secondary rock. And we called it a layer rock as well. The reason of you can see guys like there are the layers are deposit in the picture. So when the sediment in deposit in the layers, so the new rock is formed. That's why we called it a layer rock because of that their layer you can see in the soil profile. All right. When we digging out the uh, rock so where we can see the different kind of layers inside the sedimentary rock so and how it's made up of it's made up of after the stratification of the what is it stratification is the formation of strata. What is it? Strata is this layer. All right. So stratification is what? Formation of the layer by layer or stratification. This process is known as a stratification. The after the stratification, the new rock is formed. That is known as a sedimentary rock. I hope what we learn here. What is another name of sedimentary rock? That is secondary rock, water rock, or layer rock. Three are the same rock. And what is this rock? This is the sedimentary rocks are. All right. Fossil fuel are present. Because of that, if any of animals are died when there was the time where when sediment was deposited layer by layer. So imagine that by chance any animal was died due to some reason. So it get covered by these layers. So when we do, when the weathering happens, then the fossil fuels are present inside these layers. So that's the reason why the fossil fuels are present in the sedimentary layers. Cool. Let's move to the next one. The third one is metamorphic rock. So what is that metamorphic rock? So there is a no slide about the metamorphic rock. Okay, he's writing on the book. What is that metamorphic rock? Okay, so metamorphic rock is that to change in the form of two factor are most responsible. Like they are saying, imagine that there is a igneous rock or there is a sedimentary rock. So changes happens in this. The two major factors are responsible. What are those two factors? Those two factors are temperature and pressure. Two factors are responsible change in these two rocks, and then the new rock is formed that is known as metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. That's mean in modification in the previous igneous or sedimentary rock, the new rock is formed that is known as a metamorphic rock. Alright. Which factor those are? Those are mainly temperature and pressure. Temperature and pressure, they do the change in physical or chemical structure of that particular rock, and a new rock create after that. So that rock is known as metamorphic rock. All right, let's move to the next one. It is a classification about the igneous rock. All right, cool. Let me just bring to this thing down so we may get a large area to write on board. Cool. So we should take the yellow color so it will be good for writing on this. Okay, so this is the classification of igneous rock. Okay, we did a study about the igneous rock. What is that igneous rock? Primary mother of hardest rock. So let's go deeper in this. What is these things are contained? So on the basis of chemical composition, there are two type of classification of igneous rock. What is these two type are? First one based on the chemical composition. Based on chemical composition, in which we do study mostly about the silica content. What is the percentage of silica in that particular rock? Silica percentage. Okay. The another thing is based on the origin. Based on the origin. There are two basic basis on basis we do classify the igneous rock in different portions. So first we are going to discuss is that based on the chemical composition, igneous rock or silica content or igneous rock is classified. So there are three types we do classify on the basis of the chemical composition of igneous rock or silica content present inside. So these three types are acidic rock, then the second one is a neutral igneous rock, or third one is basic igneous rock. On the basis of chemical composition of igneous rock is classified into three parts. That first one is the acidic igneous rock, then second one is a neutral igneous rock, and third one is a basic igneous rock. Okay, so let's just study one by one. First one is a acidic igneous rock. What is the scene about the acidic igneous rock? When the silica SiO2, the formula of silica is what? Is a SiO2. When the silica content is about 65 to 85% inside the rock, that is goes to the acidic rock, that we call the acidic rock. What is the definition of the igneous acidic rock? Acidic igneous rock is that it's a pretty simple 65 to 85% silica content. That's mean that particular rock is known as an acidic igneous rock. All right. And there is one more funda about the chemical composition. When the SiO2 or silica content increase inside the rock increases, then automatically the acidic acidity would be increased. Acidity would be increased with the silica content. So that is the formula we can remember. All right. So when the 65 to 85% silica content present in the rock, that rock is known as acidic rock. So there are the example are more important than the definition. So what are two example of acidic rock? That is granite, most famous, granite and rhyolite. You guys have to keep remember these things. This will appear in the examination. So these are the most important part in this classification, the examples. So which which are the example which those are the example for the acidic igneous rock. So first one is a granite and then second one is a rhyolite. All right, let's move to the next one. I hope acidic rock is igneous acidic rock is complete. What is the definition? 65 to 85% SiO2 or silica content, that is goes to the acidic igneous rock, and the two examples are most important. Granite and rhyolite is the example of acidic igneous rock. All right. Let's move to the next one. The next is the natural igneous rock. What is the natural igneous rock? Is that when the silica content is about 55 to 65%, 55 to 65% is silica content is present inside the rock. That rock is ultimately goes to the natural igneous rock. All right. What is the percentage? The funda is that on the learning to igneous rock classification is that silica content. And there is a simple trick going on, like 65 to 85% silica content that goes to the acidic igneous rock. And when the silica content is 55 to 65%, that was the last limit for the acidic igneous rock. That is the higher limit for neutral igneous rock. So you guys can keep remember these things by that, like what is the limit. So the previous one is the higher for the next one. So these things are like this. So neutral igneous rock is that when the silica content present inside the igneous rock is that 55 to 65%, that rock is close to the natural igneous rock. All right. Okay, so these are the three examples of igneous rock. They are pretty important. What are these three examples are? The first one is andesite, then diorite, and cyanide. There is a trick to remember these things, but no need to keep trick on faces so where people get confused and get more trouble. They are when we are going to learn trick, that means we need to remember the two things at the same time. While you need to remember the trick as well, and you need to remember the content inside the trick as well. So why we do not study the direct content? So they would give a less trouble to us to remember the things, right? Right. So natural igneous rocks are which igneous rock which contain the silica content about the 55 to 65%. And there are the three examples of natural igneous rock that are andesite, and then the second one is a diorite, and the third one is a cyanide. I hope it's clear to you. Let's move to the next one. The last one is the basic igneous rock. When the silica content is 45 to 55%. Again, the same trick is happen here. The high limit comes from the previous one, and lower is we know as just less than the previous one. So cool. So basic igneous rock. So basic igneous rock is what? Silica content is 55 to 45 to 55%. And there is a famous example of basalt and gabbro. Both are the basic igneous rock. All right. So these two are the most important igneous rock that we have. Basalt or granite or granite. And the difference is that granite is the acidic igneous rock and basalt is the basic igneous rock. All right. Silica content we already know. I hope this is clear to you guys. Let's move to the next one. What is the next classification regarding with this? You guys can remember these two things very important for examination is that granite or basalt. Cool. Let's move to the next one. The another classification on board is that on the basis of the origin. On basis of the origin, there are two classification. There is two type of igneous rock. There was the previous was based on the chemical composition present inside the igneous rock, and the second classification is based on what? Based on origin, how it is formed. So the another classification on what we have. First one was on based on the classification based on the chemical composition of igneous rock, and the second classification is we have on board is that based on the origin of igneous rock. Okay, so how it is goes like let's just study about this. There are two type of igneous rock on the basis of the origin. Then the first one is an extrusive igneous rock, and the second one is intrusive igneous rock. What are these things are? Imagine that there is a rock present, there is a molten magma is present. This is the molten magma. Let me just take the red color. So this is the molten magma present. Imagine that the temperature is too high, so something is happened. Like this molten magma goes out and it interact with the atmosphere and get cool cool down and deposit here. When the molten magma is goes out of the surface of Earth and get cooled down and deposit somewhere, so that is the known as extrusive igneous rock. That means it deposit outside from the Earth surface. And imagine that in case of that, the molten magma was is remain inside the soil surface and get cooled down inside the soil surface itself. It not goes and it not break the Earth surface and all the things happen the inside the soil surface. So that That igneous rock, after that the formation, after that the igneous rock is formed. That igneous no rock is known as an intrusive igneous rock. Let me just repeat again. There are the two things. When the molten magma is go outside from the surface, then cool down and igneous rock is formed. That is known as extrusive igneous rock. When the molten magma inside the soil surface and get cooled down, that rock is formed. That igneous rock is formed. That is known as intrusive igneous rock. Okay, so let's get started. Intrusive igneous rock, known as volcanic rock, there is a nickname that is famous and come examination, come in examination frequently asked question. What is the extrusive? Extrusive, extrusive, extrusive igneous rock. The another name and nickname is also known as volcanic rock. Cool, you may remember. And intrusive, the rock that is formed inside the soil surface. Intrusive igneous rock is known as plutonic. Plutonic. All right. Is that clear to you? Extrusive is known as a volcanic and intrusive is known as plutonic. All right. Cool. So nickname is already come. There are the two type of igneous rock we have on the basis of the origin. Then the first one is extrusive igneous rock and the second one is intrusive igneous rock. All right. Extrusive igneous rock known as volcanic rock. Extrusive igneous rock known as a volcanic rock. That is the nickname of that extrusive igneous rock. And there are the two example of extrusive igneous rock is that basalt and rhyolite. Basalt and rhyolite is the example of extrusive igneous rock. Can we keep simple? You can remember when the things goes out, when things goes out outside the surface. That's mean in Hindi we called it जब igneous rock बाहर बन रही है. The trick is come from my teacher Atul sir. So when the igneous rock is formed outside, that's mean वो बाहर बन रही है. So बाहर से याद रखेंगे हम बीच से बाहर बीच से basalt. So that is the trick to remember the example of that extrusive igneous rock. So basalt is the extrusive or volcanic rock. All right, and the rhyolite is the another one. BR. Just you can remember. Just you can use this trick to remember B से basalt or R से rhyolite. So there is the example of exclusive igneous rock, right? Formed outside the surface. When the molten magma go outside and break down the surface and got cooled down outside the soil surface, that is known as extrusive igneous rock. What about the intrusive igneous rock? When the molten magma keep remain inside the soil surface and get cooled down with the temperature, with the time and deposit inside the soil surface, the new rock, igneous rock is formed that is known as intrusive igneous rock. And formed inside the soil surface, there is a mention. And the example how we can remember the another important name of intrusive igneous rock is that plutonic rock, also the same intrusive rock. All right. So there are the four example you can simply remember by eight. The trick is GGCD. What is the GGCD? G goes for the granite. Granite is a type of which rock? It is intrusive igneous rock. Intrusive igneous rock. What is the nickname of intrusive igneous rock? Is that plutonic rock, right? So granite is the example of intrusive rock, and cyanite also, and diorite also, and gabbro also. These four are example of intrusive or plutonic rock. All right. Intrusive rock. After cooling and crystallization of molten magma inside the soil surface, right? The molten magma is getting get cooled down inside the soil surface. That's why we know that particular rock is a intrusive igneous rock, right? And when the molten magma is get break down this earth surface and go outside go outside in the atmosphere and get cooled down by interaction of the temperature and environment, then deposit on the surface and the new rock is formed that is known as an exclusive igneous rock. All right, I hope it's clear to you. Let's move to the next one. It's going nice. Okay, the second rock that we did a study about, there was the sedimentary rock. Why is that sedimentary rock is? Sedimentary rock is formed from the igneous rock. Igneous rock is what? That is the mother of primary rock. Then the new rock is formed that is known as sedimentary rock. How it's formed? By the deposition of sediment from the igneous rock. So sediment is the main part. Sediment is carried out by water, and that sediment it deposits somewhere in the down surface, and the new rock is formed that is known as sedimentary rock, and layer rock also. Let's get into the definition. What is that definition is: after the cementification and sedimentation of the igneous rock, a new rock is formed that is known as a sedimentary rock. What is the cementification and sedimentation? Imagine that there's a layer is formed downside the, this is the rock somewhere, and some material is carried out by water, and these are deposited here. So those material are, the material is deposited here in the lower surface, and the cementification is the process, like they get harder, they are binding together by the different material and get more solid and more harder. So there is process, that process is known as solidification and cementification. All right, cool. After the cementification and the sedimentation of igneous rock, the new rock is formed that is known as a sedimentary rock, right? It is a form from the igneous, that is the igneous one, and that is this one is a sedimentary. Cool. Example of sedimentary rock is that shale, sandstone, and limestone and conglomerate. All right, what is the example of sedimentary rock? The first one is a shale. Shale is the example of sedimentary rock, S2S, and then the sandstone, and then sandstone, and shale, and conglomerates. Right. There is another definition that we can see on board in the bottom side is that material is transported by water, so it is also known as water rock as well. So stratification is a very important feature of the sediment. What is that? Stratification is stratification is that the deposition of sediment in the below part in the form of layer. That is the form of stratification. Like strata are made up by this process when the material is deposited by water in form of layer, in form of strata. That process is known as a stratification. All right, so that is goes to the stratification. Stratification is an important feature of which rock? This is the important feature of sedimentary rock. So stratification, there is a question is built up here. Stratification, very important question. Stratification is a very important feature of sedimentary rock. Material is transported by water, so it is also called as a water rock. The material from the upper part of rock is transported by water, so that why that reason, another reason why we call it a water rock, because of that the material and the sediment is deposited through the ascent of water. So that's why the another name is sedimentary rock is that water, right? Cool. Let's move to the next one. What are the, for example, of shale, sedimentary rock, shale, sandstone, limestone, and conglomerates? Cool. Let's move to the next one. What is the ahead we have? All right, last rock we have on board, there is metamorphic rock. What is the metamorphic rock? We already did a bit of we already did bit of study about that. There was in the process of formation of rock, there was a cycle in igneous rock. We did a study about that. There is a igneous rock, igneous, or there is a sedimentary rock. There is modification in this rock by the two agent. What those two agent are, that one is temperature and the another one is pressure. Temperature and pressure are two agents that work on both of the on these work on these rocks. These two agents that work on these rocks, and the new rock is formed that is known as a metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. They do change it chemically and physically, and the new rock is formed after that. So that particular rock goes to the metamorphic rock. What is the new inside this? So when the igneous and sedimentary rock are chemically or physically changed by the due to high temperature or high pressure, then the new rock is formed. The new rock is known as a metamorphic rock due to high temperature or pressure. And what is the change? Physical or chemical change inside the igneous or sedimentary rock. Alright, so new rock is formed. That is known as metamorphic rock. So here we can see there is a classification is given to us. This is the metamorphic rock, and this is the whether sedimentary or igneous rock. So granite, we know it is a type of acidic igneous rock. Just before 5 minutes, 5 minutes before we did a study about little bit study about this. So on the granite, the pressure walk too much, high pressure, and the new rock is formed by the granite after the pressure is too much high. That new rock is known as a niche. That is the type of metamorphic rock. Gneiss is a type of metamorphic rock that is made up of granite after the high pressure. Cool. Then the basalt. Basalt is a basic igneous rock. So in case of basalt, pressure and temperature both work together, and the new rock is formed that is known as a schist. So schist is basically a metamorphic rock, and it is made up of from basalt. Okay, which isn't work which phenomena work, high pressure and temperature work together on basalt, and a new rock is formed that is known as schist. Schist is basically metamorphic rock, is also metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock. Alright. Shell we know that is a type of sedimentary rock. Alright. So pressure is work on the cell. High pressure is responsible cell to convert in a slate. Slate is a type of metamorphic rock that is made up from the cell due to high pressure. And the quartz is made up from sandstone. What work on sandstone to convert this sandstone into the quartzite? Sorry, quartz is a primary mineral. Sorry, quartz is a secondary mineral or primary. Quartz is a primary mineral, but quartzite is a type of rock. Quartzite, it is a quartzite. Just keep things remain in mind. Remember these things, so you guys can do not get confused. Quartz and quartzite, both are two different things. Quartz is a mineral and quartzite is a type of rock. Right. After quartzite is made up from the sandstone, the pressure and heat work on this. Pressure and heat work on the sandstone. The new rock is formed that is known as quartzite. And the limestone. Limestone, the marble is new metamorphic rock that is made up from the limestone. Heat is work too much on that. Right? Uh, you may remember the agent as well at the same time. So which agent work to convert this process? So there was heat. Limestone. Marble is made up of from, like question can appear in the examination like this. Marble is made up of from previous or the which rock from which rock. So that is the limestone. Limestone is the mother rock for marble that is made up of after heat work on that limestone too much, right? Okay, let's move to the next one. The new is the last slide, I hope, for this lecture is that the classification of metamorphic rock. What is the classification? There are the two type of metamorphic rock is presented on board. There is a foliated metamorphic rock and a non-foliated metamorphic rock. When the mineral are present in a parallel layer, imagine that there is a metamorphic rock. Imagine that there is another mineral, there is another mineral, there is another mineral. These minerals are present in form of layer, like they are parallel. They are not randomly mixed like these. These are the mixture, like these are the mixture. So these are not, but in case of these are presented in the parallel form. So these kind of metamorphic rock is known as a foliated when they are present in the form of when minerals are present in the parallel layer. So that metamorphic rock is known as foliated metamorphic rock. They are not distributed randomly. When the minerals are distributed randomly, whether in a fixed place, so that particular metamorphic rock is known as a non-foliated metamorphic rock. I hope it's clear to you guys. It's maybe like today's lecture is too much on the speed of faster because of I do have to do the certain things, but at the same time I do have to upload the lecture. So I do not want to delay too much to get posted for the any of topic to get more, delay for the student. So I do have to post at these things. If there is a speed is too high, so you guys make comment in the comment box. So I just have to stop myself to doing these things. Otherwise, things will go on same like this. And I hope you enjoy a lot. And this is from my side and PPT is course. If anybody want to PPT this, they can message on the There's a site also we built up already and posted on the YouTube channel as well. And on Instagram, you guys can post, like, you guys can message so I can give and I can share where the PPT is already made up of. And there are a few topics as well. Cool. So let's like end the lecture here and signing off to all of you. Thank you.